going to start pretty soon. It's nice having you all here tonight. You're welcome to my coffee, my corner. My name remains Yinyinade Dania. I'm glad to have everyone here today. Our guest speaker is going to come on real soon. But before then, I pray and I wish that we all have a good time, even as we share today. Our guest speaker is an amazing sister of mine. She's Pastor Abby Olufeyimi. She's the residing pastor of Builder's House of the Redeemed Christian Church of God in Croydon in the United Kingdom. She's one who has been a great support to me. She's one of the very few people I defer to. For those who have been on this session, any of the sessions prior to this one, would know a bit of my story about sharing how to deal with grief and things like that. And can we all just please remain muted if possible? Okay, I think I'm going to mute everyone. Auntie Abby, are you on? Sounds like you are. I'm looking for her. Oh, no, that's not her. Okay. All right, so like I was saying, so when really for me, when you're going through grief of any form or kind and you're trying to get out of it, the best way I always advise, apart from seeking help either from a professional after you've prayed, during the time that you're praying and afterwards, is that you should have a good support system. So Pastor Abby is one of my support system. She's been my support system for as long as I've known her, about 15 years or a little over now, and she still remains one of my support system. She's my big sister. She's Grandma Vicar to my children, and she's just a phenomenal woman. So like all the people that are my support system, I always say to people when I counsel them, so Pastor Abby is one of those people I will say, get your own Pastor Abby, you know. whenever you're going through anything and you have someone like her in your corner, you can be rest assured that the support will be amazing. I'm going to give an example of one of the very many ways she supported me. So part of my story, which I shared in the first session, which I always still share, is the beat of... Okay, so can we all please, we need to be muted, please. Is it possible to... Okay, so I'm trying to mute everyone now. Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. All right. So as I was saying, about 10 years ago, when we had our third loss before our daughter Abigail, so I had a son who I gave birth to and died a few minutes after. Pastor Abby was one of the first people I reached out to. I mean, she was following up with me all through anyways whilst I was pregnant. And so when the incident occurred, she was one of the first people I reached out to. And she was just, as usual, great support to me at the time. She not only called me regularly when it came to the decision making of how to bury our son, whether or not to. So I was given two options to either bury him, you know, like the normal, go to a church, put him in a coffin or cremate him. She gave me the right advice, and I took it on, and we went with that. And she was just all through that period will call me. I mean, you need to know, I mean, it was a very rough patch. So she will call daily, things as simple as, have you eaten? Things as, you know, hard as, okay, so how are we going to do it today? Sometimes, you know, we'll cry together. Sometimes we'll laugh together. And so that's just one of, so I'm just going to leave Pastor Abby tonight to share with us her experience or experiences as the Lord leads her to do so. So everyone in my Coffee My Corner, I'd really appreciate if you can just give Pastor Abby Olufeyimi, my big sister, a warm welcome to this platform. Welcome, Pastor Abby.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
If we can just go to the chat section and just say welcome and just, you know, show her some love, everyone.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You.
Thank you so very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Yinyinade Dania. You know, a pastor in her own right. You know, that's a very precious woman of God. So it's lovely to be here. Thank you. I just want to test the technology now. On Zoom, I know I'm fine and whatnot, but do you need me to also
yes, so okay, yes, you need to join the Instagram. I'm going to
do you? Join.
That's not hard.
Somebody's asking. Okay, so you have joined, but
okay.
Yeah.
So wow.
Okay, let's request her.
So we're going to request for you.
She has sent the request.
You should come on any.
There I am.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. So
you need to turn on your IG volume needs to go down a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, how is it now?
Okay.
Is this good? So can you hear me on IG?
Yes.
Thank you all for your patience.
Yes.
You know, this is multitasking on steroids.
Exactly. Okay, so we're just going to ignore the IG. It's a bit delayed, but carry on, Pastor Abby. We can hear you.
I should carry on. Okay. So as I said, it's lovely to be here. Thank you. You know, on Zoom, I see all.
All right. Sorry. That was me.
Okay.
So we resolved that.
Okay.
Sorry.
So okay. I think I will mute you on. Okay, there we are. Okay, great.
Okay,
so are we fine?
Yeah.
So are we fine?
We are.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
So it's lovely to be here. I'm loving you from Croydon, England, where as a good British lady, we talk about the weather. So we've had good weather over the past few days. We've been able to go out with a very light jacket or coat. The sun has been shining, we're walking, we're children are playing in the park, families are really quickly. I feel British weather, by today the heat is back on, so at the lot of tea, it's on, the turtleneck is back on, and whatnot. So, well, thank you, that was just my icebreaker, just to give a bit of what the weather is like in Yes, so, yes, and really introduction. And thank you. One of the things that is said, and honestly, that's the context of pain and purpose, is that we must never suffer alone. We're not meant to suffer alone, and we should not suffer alone. We suffer in community. Because I have obviously a head start in terms of the theme of our conversation this evening, and I just come prepared. I spent over a week, at some point thinking about pain, my personal pain around me, pain, why do you go to pain, what is the purpose of pain, and so on. And I'm going to take it to the very beginning. When God created the earth, right, and He made man and woman and the garden of Eden, I just think that there was no pain in the creation, right? There was no pain. But then, with the fall of man and sin, introduced into the earth, right? And even the man's disobedience, then came pain. Then came pain with it. And so, what then happens is that a loving God, a loving Father, says, I will redeem your pain. I will redeem your pain. In other words, there will be purpose even in this pain. I will redeem it and it will become useful. And so, a loving Father does not inflict pain. He doesn't, and that's not Father God. He doesn't inflict pain. But He Himself was afflicted by my pain, your pain, and the pain of the human race because of sin. He was afflicted. And what does that affliction look like? In other words, He bore the pain on His body, He bore it in His soul, He went to the cross, right? He wasn't murdered, He gave up His life. Because I'm trying to set the context by giving us a reflection from the Bible. And so he was afflicted, right? But then on the cross he said it is finished. And by the power of the resurrection, he said it is finished. The problem that I've had as a woman of faith, as a Christian, is that somehow I thought erroneously that as long as you're a good Christian, you go to church, you do what you do, you don't suffer pain. I don't know where I got that from, this Cinderella kind of life, because it's not a reality. And then also, having gone through a lot of pain, everyone of us on this call has suffered pain. It could be a pain as a result of our own stupidity. Sometimes we're victims of pain, we're fully innocent in the equation of pain, right? And so it's like, look, what do I do with pain? And sometimes I even embarrassed by pain. It takes a lot. Pain for me is not a badge of honor. So as I talk about my pain, as I walk through pain with you, as you walk through pain with me, it is not a badge of honor. It is just what we're doing together in life. It is just, so does that mean I now go through the life of everyone I'm shoulder, I'm wondering, oh God, where is the next pain coming from? I can't trust God, I can't trust anybody, and all kinds of insecurities around this pain. As the person of pain, right, we are reminded, I know experientially, as I go through pain, as we go through your pain, that actually you know it is going through. This is not how it's going to always be. It's going to be an experience. You can call it an adventure. There's going to be growth, right? And sometimes the very place where we experience pain is the place where you are able to also offer up, as it were, offer up or solace even to others who've gone through pain. For those of you on Zoom, please let's interact and make it, okay. So, now let me talk about myself. Some of the things that perhaps, I went through. I remember I was 37, right? Married with 2 lovely children. So just, living in Nigeria, in Lagos, doing, full on, pay the bills, entertain, church, choir, business, party, in-laws are visiting, student life, right? And on November 7th, almost 25 years ago, my husband, leading the worship, a godly man. He was a place, right? And he was also working in the oil industry, right? So he was and heading to and the plane crashed, right? There was no nothing. The plane crashed, and every passenger on that plane crashed. Is the sound fine? Zoom, you're fine, and yeah. Okay, great.
Okay.
So now I am at 37.
Great. So now I am at age 37.
It was not my
And
plan.
I find myself a widow.
Definitely not my
plan.
Okay.
Definitely not my plan. Okay.
So how do you hope?
So how do you
I don't even know what's the right word. A sudden death. A sudden death. How? How does one, how do you even live again? How do you live again? I was in excruciating pain. It wasn't a physical pain, it was an emotional pain. It was the pain of grief. Now, one thing I know for sure is that we can't, yes, the ADC crash, exactly, yes. And I see somebody, let me see, what's that in the chat? Let me see. My mom, her mom lost her brother, yes. Yeah. So it was the ADC class, the very first one. So how do I cope? But I remember a conversation I had with a young man. And this young man was my first daughter's friend. He must have been maybe about age 14 at the time, 14 or maybe a 15-year-old. And he had come to see me, my daughter is his friend, and so it's come to the family. And he asked me a question that I'll never forget. He said, Auntie Abby, I don't understand God. I mean, this was barely a month, I don't understand God. Why would God allow Uncle Alfred to die in a plane crash? He is a good Uncle Alfred. We love him. I have uncles that are, and he wasn't saying they should have gone instead of his Uncle Alfred. But why? And I remember, closing my eyes for a second, whispering a prayer and saying, God, please help me to respond to this young man in a way that it would be your response. Selah. So I heard myself saying to him, I said, I don't understand either. I said, but perhaps we're not supposed to understand, but perhaps we're supposed to believe. So what do we believe? We believe that a loving God would never afflict us. He will not hurt us. So I don't understand. So this is not what I said to him, but I'm continuing the conversation. A loving God will never afflict you. A loving God will never afflict me. And he has not asked me to understand. He has just asked me to faith, to believe. And then later on, as I was processing, so I had that little conversation. One thing that came to me was, God says, I love you the way you are. I love you. He loves each and every one of us the way we are. But sometimes in the life of a believer, we also have to love a God that we don't understand and that we don't even agree with. Is God fair? Absolutely not. Did he go on leave? Did the angels, order a happy meal at McDonald's? What happened? They couldn't even hold up a plane? I thought he's all powerful and all sovereign. He's not asking me for answers, and neither am I asking him for answers. I just believe. I believe that he loves me. I believe that he loves me. I believe that he loves you. But I also know that we live in a fallen world, and sometimes we are the victims of the fallenness of the world that we live in. Sorry, I'm looking this way because of Instagram, because I realized I was looking into Zoom. So kind of, this is You know, just when you think you've got your head around
You can see you on both.
You can see me on both. Okay, good. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Did you make me a co-host on Zoom? Okay, so
Yes, you are.
I've been meeting everybody. You know, so Father God says, you know, love me. You know, grow in love. You know, we grow in love, faith. And then he says, use your faith. And I consider myself a woman of faith. I mean, if you know some of the crazy things, you know, that I had done in the name of faith, you know, it was me that would board the plane and go to America without any money for a conference and be believing God. You know, I had reckless faith. But then from reckless faith, I then went through a crisis of faith. To be honest, if you haven't gone through a crisis of faith, your faith, as far as I'm concerned, is not really authentic. A crisis of faith looks like where you pray, you believe, you do spiritual gymnastics, you do everything and nothing shifts. So what is my response? What is your response? And when I say nothing shifts, believe you me, nothing. The response is we then use faith not to obtain promises, but we use faith to engage with the integrity of God. God is integral. What is his integrity? He says, you can trust me. You can love me. You can come to me for help. This is the spiritual aspect. You know, this is a reflection just to set the context of the purpose of pain. Then perhaps we'll get into one or two practicalities. And Yinyinade has mentioned a few, you know, which I picked up from. Don't suffer alone. Get help. Get help. Say, I need help. Don't suffer alone. You know, this is not, you know, pain shaming. You know, it's not about singing kumbaya, you know, when we're hurting, we get help. But then pain is not a badge of honor. Neither is it, you know, a clutch. Oh, look at me and all of that. You know, no. There can be an unhealthy codependency between me and my pain. And even that has to be broken, because for me, that can be a form of idolatry, where I don't even want to receive grace and I don't want to receive help. I just want to remain in pain. When grace is offering me life, grace is offering me hope, grace is offering me forgiveness. Selah. Help is necessary indeed. So, so that's it. So we go through pain. We live in a fallen world. Sometimes we're victims, you know, no fault of ours. Sometimes, yes, you know, I read Isaiah 30 today, and the prophet Isaiah was saying to the children of Israel, you brought this on yourself, right? And so you eat the bread of affliction. It says, but from there, one day you will have the bread of increase. Now the practicality of pain. As I said, it's important that we do get help. I read something, and I don't know if she's on the call. There's a lovely lady, Antoinette. On Instagram, she's known as Tranquil Therapy. I think Tranquil Therapy Instagram handle, Antoinette. And she put a post up a few days ago called Toxic Positivity. Toxic Positivity. And essentially what she was saying is that there's nothing worse than going around, right, being so positive that in a sense we are denying the pain that we're going through. Sometimes it's because people even shame us, you know, oh, get over it. Oh, by now you should have gotten over it and all of that. And, you know, so we have a happy face, you know, toxic positivity, you know, it's yeah, that's the word, toxic positivity. Thanks, Aladun. Thank you. Yes, Asai, thank you for putting up, yeah, that's it. Please follow her. And it's on Zoom. Her, what you will call it is, her handle is, you know, is there on Zoom. And so she says, you know, we shouldn't do that to ourselves. It's self, you know, it's a sabotage. It's a lie. you know, where we feel guilty for feeling pain. Oh, I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not a good enough dad. You know, I've let myself down. Where's self-compassion? No, you know, it's okay to pick up a phone and say it hurts. In fact, I did that yesterday. I actually spoke to my son. You know, I woke up with a headache, probably inflicted, you know, and let me tell you what my headache was. I have a terrible sweet tooth, right? And sometimes I think with my age now, my body can't process too much sugar, you know, but I like sugar. So I think I'd had too much sugar. So I woke up with a headache. And the headache actually then put me like in a mood. You know, it was like a bit of downhill in my emotion. And I knew it was the sugar I ate. But anyway, I had to speak to my son in the States. And it was like, Mom, what's wrong? I said, I'm sad. You know, I'm sad. I didn't tell you why I was sad, but he encouraged me better. I inflicted that pain on myself. Okay, I know that seems, you know, very superficial, you know. So, but it was still, but there was no point in me having a happy face, you know, when I'm feeling sad, if you see what I mean. And I'm not saying, you know, when I say happy face, you know, a happy face that pretends, you know, many of us wear our emotions on our face, right? Sometimes our face gets attention, especially children. You know, and even adults, you could just read, by reading their face, you could tell what moods they're in, right? And some of us indulge our emotions, you know, because when we put on that face, we know we're going to get attention, right? And we like the response that we get. That's not what I'm talking about. Please go to Antoinette's Instagram page. Lots of nuggets there. You know, toxic positivity means it's almost like you're suppressing your emotion, pretending to be happy, you know, and all of that. And that's not healthy, because it's going to eventually come out in some form. And so it's there. And I remember saying to her that I was going to mention it today, that, you know, to talk about pain and purpose, you know, it's not about pretending or being in denial. Sometimes, you know, we may have residual pain that I have to exhume, right, in a safe place. In a safe place. And when I say exhume, because maybe it's affecting at a very deep level my personality, my responses, my productivity. Amen. And then purpose. Every kind of pain I've ever gone through in my life, there's a prayer that I've always prayed. I said, God, please don't let this pain waste. In other words, it's not pain purpose. It's not a hashtag. It's about, Lord, this is what I'm experiencing, and I'm handing it to you, because you identify with me. You've gone through pain, but Lord, don't let this pain. How can we redeem this pain and this experience? Please put it in the chat. How do we redeem pain and this experience? By reaching out to others. One of the reasons why I could be in, you know, in Auntie Yinyinede's space when she was, you know, when she suffered that loss, is because I had gone through a similar experience, you know, where, yes, I had a miscarriage, and the question of, you know, where would this child be buried? I'd gone through that. It was a function of my body, you know, and I'd had a miracle, because my blood group had been changed, so it allowed me to conceive. But it also made me vulnerable in pregnancy. I had an incredible miracle. God, you know, I'd gone through a supernatural change in my blood group, where I went from B negative to B positive. So you can have a miracle and still be in pain. Hello? You can have a miracle and still be in pain. And I'm going to round up in a couple of minutes. And still be in pain. So miracles does not negate pain. And let me give an example. John the Baptist in the Bible, he was a child that was born to parents that were very old. He was a miracle baby. But then we all know the end of John the Baptist. I think that as believers, if we don't talk about pain, then our gospel is warped. How do you explain the pain of Ukraine, of the northern part of Nigeria, of economy? How do we explain sometimes we're not called to explain pain, but to engage. And I stop there. Thank you. Wow, this was interesting. On one hand, I had Instagram going, can you see? And then on the other hand, there's Zoom. Thank you, Auntie Yade. Over to you. I'm going to pause, stop here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pastor Abby. Thank you. That was, as usual, wonderful. And I'm sure a lot of people have taken nuggets from what you've shared today. So what I would like to say is anyone who has questions or suggestions, can you please raise your hands or put it up on the chat so that we can then read it out and discuss.
Auntie Yade, I'm looking at the chat. Auntie Yade, I'm looking at the chat on Zoom.
Okay.
And lots of
Yes.
comments on I can have a miracle and still be in pain. And somebody put there so profound, so liberating.
Yes.
Yes. So.
Okay. Thank you
Do you have any
all
other
for
comments?
your contributions. Any other comments or questions before we carry on?
Auntie Adi, another one on the comment is shame. Somebody put there, this happens a lot. Shame.
Yes. Yes. Correct. Yeah. And so based on that, I would like to say something about shame. There is something that my husband says that I have come to terms with, I've come to agree with totally, about the fact that shame usually precedes glory. So whatever it is you're going through that is shameful, it's just setting the stage for the glory of the Lord to be pronounced. And the example he usually gives, which I totally agree with, is the example of Jesus going to the cross, naked, beaten. I mean, what other kind of shame can we say we've been through that can be more than that, really? And then over 2,000 years afterwards, we are proclaiming Jesus. So if we can remember that when we're going through any form of setback, then we know that indeed shame, our shame, will always return to the glory of the Lord.
I'd like to talk into the space of shame. You know how it was, Jesus said he made himself of no reputation. Sometimes shame can also be because of reputation, as a person. There's something about, my reputation. I listened to a wonderful Jesus House, London, UK, just concluded their women's conference yesterday. And on the last day, Mrs. Ade Oshun, Kemi Ade Oshun, some of you may remember her as the finance minister of Nigeria. So she was on, and please watch. She wasn't preaching, it was a conversation. And she just shared her experience of that whole saga of, being a minister, and then how, because of the NYSC certificate, she was unceremoniously dismissed, the disgrace, the shame. Oh my God, I'm going to listen to it again. The perspective that she brought, in terms of, and even though at the end she was vindicated, the evidence was there that, she didn't need to have an NYSC certificate because she was over 36 years old when she was a minister. She wasn't even in Nigeria. Anyway, you need to listen to it or watch it yourself. But what she brought us about shame, she said the shame was so painful, the disgrace. She said so much so that, she gave an example how once she was in a shop and somebody came up to her and said, "Are you Mrs. Kennedy Odeoshun?" And she said, "No, it's my sister," because she looks like her sister. The shame, the embarrassment, but how God walked with her through the shame, through the embarrassment, and how she's a better person for it today. She said it was a 3-year journey, right? And even after she was vindicated, she said she wasn't gloating, issues around even forgiving, self-confidence, growth, loving Jesus. I mean, it was so authentic, which was the theme of the conference. So I thought I should just put that in that. Sometimes shame comes as an affliction. Sometimes shame is even a lie of the enemy, against us. In the garden, it said, there? Can you hear me? Okay. Got 2 devices going. Mhm. Are you there? Okay. Thank you all. Thank you. There you are. You're back.
Okay, yes, so back. There was a bit of an interruption with the internet.
That's fine.
We're back on that. Yes. Thank you so much, Pastor Abby. So once again, we're going to ask if anyone has any other questions or input. Oh, wow, my chat is actually the old one wiped off. So let's see the new ones.
There's actually a question on Instagram. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it?
Okay, let me see.
It's one of the last comments, at least on my screen.
Okay. I totally get helping when I've been through something.
Yeah, that's the one.
How do you help others while you're still in that same pain? Can it even be done? All right. Pastor Abby, I'll leave you to go first. And then
can you help others while you're still in that same pain? Yes and no. Yes and no. And why I say yes and no is that sometimes while you're still in that same pain, helping others also helps to kind of, deflect from yourself, and so, going into some other person's space to say, help may just even be, I empathize. I empathize. I'm not here to offer any solution. I'm just here to say I empathize and I'm sorry. So that's help. That's one form of help. And sometimes, again, it's about being true to yourself. It's like, well, I don't think I can take this on. There's something called the care for the carer, right? I actually need help right now. Or even to say, I'm sorry, I wish I could help you, but I'm really not in a position to help, but I do care. A kind word, a smile, is help. It doesn't have to be, I'm taking it on, I'm taking you full on, and whatnot. So I think, yes, sometimes when we deflect from ourselves, whatever we're going through just feels a little bit better. It doesn't undermine, it doesn't take away, because our own thing can be so all consuming, that sometimes you just have to say, let me reach out and help some other person. I mean, obviously, the whole thing about, you can't swim and yet you want to help somebody drowning. I mean, that's in an extreme, you know what I mean? But I can't swim, but at least I can extend, a pole and help, pull you out. So of these waters are about to drown you. I don't know if that's,
fantastic.
Yes.
Yes, I totally agree with you on that. Let's see. I hope that helps and that sorts your question out. I like this phrase that my friend Amaka Chikambon, who is on Instagram, she usually quotes it, and she's just put it up on our DM, or rather on the chats on Instagram. And she usually would say that strength, courage, and character are birthed through adversity. I totally agree with that. Just like you said earlier, Pastor Abby, the fact that, if you haven't really gone through some things, your faith is really questionable. So if you think that there's certain things that you have to, some hard knocks that you have to go through for you to become a general
Absolutely.
in the Lord.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
Absolutely.
she also says
Character.
if you go through and come through, you can be a beacon of light for others.
Absolutely.
And also to add to what you said, responding to Leslie, the truth is, if you're unable to help someone in your situation, if you can't help directly, you can even seek for others who can help the person to then help.
Yes,
so just like extending that pool. So assuming somebody has a situation that you can't help with, you know somebody else who can help that person. So what you should do in that scenario is for you to talk to the person you know can help and have that person help.
Okay.
The person. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So there's another question on Zoom. What practical tips can you share on how you were able to deal with the sudden passing of your husband? Like things you did on a daily basis to help you through the time. That's directly at you, Pastor Abby.
Okay. Remember I said you could have a miracle and still be in pain. So there was a miracle of God's supernatural grace, so which I experienced. So there was something supernatural that was helping me cope through pain, because if I was allowed to experience the full import of that pain, I think, I wouldn't even be sitting here today. So there was a dimension, which I think also came from the relationship, with God, in terms of loving him, worship, even warfare, because sometimes I would feel, like gloom want to come and consume me. And practically I had Christian music. When people would come into the house, I would insist that, in fact, sometimes they took a cue from me, because I'll have my shekere, or there'll be somebody by the piano and we'll be worshiping. And people would look and think, this is strange, because, on that plane crash, I personally knew 12 people, right? So, and so people would come in, and we created an oasis, as it were, of worship. And, God's presence is there and was bringing healing and comfort. So it's spiritual, but it was practical for me, so the music around and whatnot, so much so that one or two people thought we were pretending, here they go again, one or two people were even offended and all of that. But it was always what I did, in terms of, to worship God. Worship wasn't just, waiting for the sermon or, a playlist. It was my lived experience. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to do what I always do. So, okay, let's have music, let's worship, and I said worship. So it wasn't drowning our emotion, and all of that. No, it was responding to God through pain. It wasn't drowning our emotion. It was responding through God to pain. And it was a sacrifice. It cost us. It wasn't easy. It was through tears. So that was one. And then secondly, care. You wouldn't believe it. I used to have, long hair, but for some reason I wanted to cut my hair and kind of reinvent myself. And I enjoyed that process. So I remember maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks into, I said to one of my friends, send me your barber. I just want a new cut, and that helped me. I don't know why, now that I think about it, but it helped me. Practically, I'm talking about grief. Grief can also have a smell. And even till today, I can't stand horrible smells. So things like candles, practical things, practical, food, nourishment, eating properly, eating with others, allowing others into my space, and whatnot. Those are some of the practical things. And in my case, I had to leave the country. I relocated, right? Thank God I had the opportunity to do that. Practically, sometimes, even to change your home, even if you can't leave your home or your room, get new curtains, and all of a sudden I had a thing for bright colors, I didn't want any, because I had young children too, I felt it was important that I created an atmosphere that was light and playful and pleasant also for them. So those are some of the practicalities. Then further along the line, I went back to school. I'd always wanted to do a master's. I did. So I enrolled and I thought, what, I'm going to school. And so those are some of the practical things, simple things, but practical. In those days, grief counseling wasn't really, in fact, I didn't even know about such a thing, so I didn't have access to grief counseling and whatnot. But I realized that grief is a journey, and so for me, I remember going into a men's shop. You know how after having moved back to England, I couldn't walk into a men's department. There was a local departmental shop. I would take the long route because I couldn't bear to see men's clothes. Because when I walk in, I would tear up and whatnot. So I'll go to the perfume section, to the pots and pans, anything but the men's department. That was practical for me. So somebody would be like, oh, the short course is through the men's department. I said, it may be short for you, but for me, it's triggering some emotions. And I don't want to, let's go through the pots and pans. So I hope that has answered your question.
Thank you so much, Pastor Abby. A lot to do. I hope that helps. I'm sure it did. Oh, I like Auntie Alera's comment. She says there's something therapeutic and healing about cutting your hair when going through pain. I agree, actually. So yes, Auntie Alera, we totally agree. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Any more comments? Any more questions? Let's make it interactive. We're doing well. I'm actually enjoying myself. I hope we all are. Thank you so much, Pastor Abby.
Thank you.
Yeah, Olatunde is very happy with. She says this was really helpful. So did Leslie on Instagram. Yes. Okay, so
thank you.
Auntie Abby, are there any other nuggets you have for us tonight? Or
self-compassion. Any other nuggets? Self-compassion. Let's be kind to ourselves, not one another, but be kind to yourself. Let's cut ourselves some slack. There's so much pain. So much going on, but, let's also, and like I said, don't do pain alone. Pain in community. Yes, Folashade, Femilawa. So let's.
Yes, our hand is up. So when you're done, Folashade, can you can you unmute yourself and please speak? Yes. You're welcome. Folashade is my prayer partner. Yes, she's my prayer partner. She's my covenant sister. Yes. Go ahead, Felicia.
We can hear you, yes.
Yes.
Wow. 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 Mm-mm. 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 Yes. Mm-mm. Wow. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. 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 Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm. Mm. Woo! Wow. Mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-mm. Mm. 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 Yes. Mm. 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 Wow. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Wow.
testimony.
So,
Thank you for sharing, my sister Falashade. God bless you. Yes, we know that kind of pain, but here we are today, being
mm,
grateful for wonderful children. Not that we still don't remember those ones that have gone, but God has crowned our tears with joy,
amen.
with having
Yeah.
the children
Mm,
with us now. So we give God all the glory for that. And I think with all of this tonight, we have only just we have about 8 minutes to go,
8 minutes
and
ago. Okay.
yes, and yeah. So
So I
I
have
don't
to
know
close
if
the kitchen
anyone
window.
still
I
has
can hear
anything
my
else
neighbor's
to
dog
say.
barking.
Where are you going, Pastor Abby?
There we go. Sorry,
You're getting up.
The neighbor's dog. Sorry,
Okay,
no,
trying to get
the
back
neighbor's
on.
dog was barking, and I think yeah. So I
Oh,
closed the
okay.
kitchen window so that the sound wouldn't come through.
Oh, okay. So the barking will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Great. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Pastor Abby. It was a
Thank God.
pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me.
Very honored to have you share your one of your many stories with us, because we know this isn't all of it, and
Thank
we
you.
pray that you'll be able to join us again sometime soon by the grace
Thank
of
you.
God, to share with us again.
Thank you.
So thank you everyone for coming tonight.
To God be the
We
glory
pray and
indeed. Thank you,
we
everyone.
ask that the Lord continue to help us, each and every one of us, guide us, and whenever we're going through one thing or the other, I pray we can remember that we have God to run to, number one, and also anyone going through anything can always you can slide into our DM or send us messages, and we have a team of people that can help out with encouraging, with guidance, and any form of help that is required. So, so Pastor Abby,
yes,
if people have further questions, we'll send them to you.
Okay, I'll be happy to serve. Happy to serve. Happy to help.
Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
So we bless God for tonight. We thank you everyone once again, and we pray that you have a wonderful week, and we look forward to our next session, hopefully next month, by the grace of God. And I'm sure it promises to be as exciting as this one, if not more.
Thank you.
God bless you, Auntie Abby. We love you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Auntie Yinyinade. Bye. I love you so much.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone. Thank you.